For 55 days, Ruth and I are embarking on an epic European journey, traveling to 8 countries, 6 of which are new for us. Our trip takes us from the whitewashed towns of southern Italy to the dramatic coastline of Croatia, and from the historical center of Athens to the sun-drenched islands of southern Greece. We then head north to the pastoral countryside of England and into Scotland, before having to cut our trip short. For while we understood the risks of traveling this time of year, we were forced to change our trip due to the hurricane that was heading right for our home in Florida. Travel doesn't always go right, but when it does, it is one of the most enriching experiences one can have. After spending a week in the whitewashed towns of Puglia in southern Italy, and enjoying a week in both the medieval and coastal towns of Croatia, we headed further south to Greece.
Welcome to Greece. We are now in Athens.
The city of Athens is a sprawling jumble of ancient and modern. Monuments dating back thousands of years mingle with buildings from the modern era. Our first day meant getting acquainted with the city, and who better to give us an overview of the city but good old Uncle Rick.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe.
Ruthie enjoying Mr. Uncle Rick Steves. While their dress and ceremony are goofy looking, the F-Zone guards guard the tomb of the unknown soldier just outside the Parliament building located above Syntagma Square. Ermou Street could have been any high street in Europe. That is until you come to a Greek Orthodox church right in the middle of it. Greek Orthodox churches are everywhere in Athens, some big, some small, all with incredible iconography. Located on a very busy street stands the remains of Hadrian's Arch, one of the main entry points into ancient Athens. Behind it is the Temple of Olympian Zeus, the largest temple built in Greece, the size of a football field. While it costs to enter, you can pretty much see the whole thing through the fence. Lunch was at a family tavern in Plaka that specialized in local favorites: Greek salad, calamari, moussaka, and cakes. Everything homemade, and with a shot of ouzo to cap off the meal. That afternoon, we visited the Acropolis Museum. Located across from the Acropolis, the museum is built on top of an ancient forum.
I mean, it's amazing they were able to build this museum on top and these columns.
Most of the artifacts from the Acropolis, everything from pottery, statues, reliefs, as well as recreations of what has been lost to damage or theft, have been moved here for protection and restoration. One can only take so many statues and broken pieces of pottery. Cocktails with a view were in order, and there's not a better rooftop view than the one from A for Athens. Today we plan to dive deeper into Athens history. Greece, and Athens in particular, are synonymous with another fabric of our modern culture, the Olympics. The inaugural 1896 and more recent 2004 games were held here. The only stadium in the world to be built entirely of marble, the Parthenon Stadium hosted the opening and closing ceremonies in the inaugural Modern Olympics in 1896, and served as the finish for the marathon of the 2004 games. Central Athens sits in the shadow of the Parthenon and Acropolis Hill, and nowhere is that more true than the neighborhood called Anaphiatika. Squeezed in at the base of the hill and Plaka, and built by former islanders, the neighborhood resembles the architecture and maze of streets found in the Cycladic Islands. I feel like you're in an island village. You come to an amazing viewpoint.
It's awesome. It's a quiet little respite from the crazy of the city.
Feels like the urban sprawl of Los Angeles going beyond into the hills.
After a quick lunch of souvlaki and beer, we walked around the Roman Forum. Built between 19 and 11 BC as the city's main trade center, it later was the site of the world's first meteorological station, the Tower of the Winds. Each of the 8 sides faces points on the compass and features friezes of the ancient wind gods. Next door is the Agora, the heart of ancient Athens. For over 800 years, it was Athens' town center. Now, it sits mostly in ruins, with a well-preserved temple and recreated marketplace, the Stoa. The High City, or Acropolis, is Athens' centerpiece. Built in 430 BC as a site to worship the city's protector, the goddess Athena, it sits on top of 100-foot limestone cliffs. With 4 major monuments, the Parthenon, Erechtheion, Propylaea, and Temple of Athena Nike, it can be super crowded, especially mid-morning to mid-afternoon. We visited late afternoon, and while not empty, it was a lot less crowded. Sitting just outside the Acropolis gates is the Odeon of Herodotus Atticus. Built in 161 AD, it is still used to this day for concerts and plays. The Acropolis' entrance is through the Propylaea, filling your entire field of view. Its grandness is only surpassed by what's on the other side. With 46 columns, the Parthenon is Greece's largest Doric column temple. Built in less than a decade, it has withstood earthquakes and other ravages of time due to unique construction methods that include thicker columns on the corners and columns that tilt inward. After 2 days of heavy sightseeing, we wanted to get out of the city and slow down. And just a short 1-hour ferry ride away sits the island of Aegina. Part of the Saronic Islands, Aegina feels worlds away from the hustle and bustle of Athens. With a handful of historic sites, its joy lies in its easygoing promenade of cafes, stores, and restaurants. After another yummy lunch, it was time to chill on a beach. While not the most beautiful, it had beach chairs for rent, calm water, and cold beer. Arriving back in Athens, we grabbed a quick dinner and enjoyed cocktails in the trendy Syri neighborhood.
Cheers! Look what I have, Daniel. Another Aperol spritz.
Our last day in Athens was to see it at street level in the Syri neighborhood. Newly trendy, it's full of art, food, and shopping. Why are we standing here?
We're standing here to get a little bit of air conditioning from the store.
Still rough around the edges, Syri is home to Athens Central Market. While we've had a ton of great food in Athens, we hadn't had loukoumades yet, and now it was time.
Round 2 of the little donuts, which I can't remember the name, but they are very delicious. This time, we are having them with walnuts on top.
As we did in Rome, we wanted to dive in a little deeper into local food culture, and so we scheduled a cooking class in Greek traditional favorites, dolomades, spanakopita, roasted eggplant with feta, and orange pie. In Rome, we each cooked all the dishes, while here it was a communal affair. We each took turns doing parts of each dish. While the food was delicious, we both preferred cooking our own dishes as it was more hands-on and we felt we better learned how to make them. Good morning, Athens. Our cruise ship.
Well, hello. Welcome to our cabin.
We are on our cruise ship, heading to the islands. Mykonos, first stop. Ruth keeps wondering, where is the
Swimming pool.
Where's the pool? I thought this was a cruise.
We had less than 48 hours in Mykonos, and after checking into our hotel, we wanted to get out and explore the Kora, or Old Town. The Old Town is a maze of whitewashed streets, though it was easy to find your way. Just find the crowds, then follow as they'll be heading to one of two places, Little Venice or the famous Windmills. It's easy to see why Mykonos is so famous. It's drop-dead beautiful. As we began to realize its beauty rises above all the negatives of being so popular. We spent the afternoon soaking in the views and walking around the windmills, some of which are private residences. The golden hour in Mykonos is legendary, and we headed back to Little Venice to check it out. That evening we headed to Sky Bar to watch the sun set over Mykonos. While there was a €25 per person minimum, it was a lot cheaper than the 180 bar up the hill, and had just as impressive views, a laid-back vibe, and entertainment. The next morning, we rented a car to check out some of the beaches. We avoided the popular and party beaches like Paradise, Super Paradise, Platis Gialos, and instead visited 3 quieter and remote beaches. First up was Azure up in the north. After a couple hours, we were thirsty and headed back to a brewery we had passed by earlier. The beers were cold and pretty good, worth stopping for. Down a dusty road, we arrived at Kapari Beach. More secluded than the last, it was a perfect place to jump in the water and cool off. On our way to our final beach, we drove through Mykonos' backcountry. Rustic, kind of whirled away from the Instagram-famous Windmills and Little Venice, it felt like time stood still here. By the time we got to our final beach, the wind had picked back up, so we didn't stay for long. Plus, we wanted to get back to town for sunset. On the bluff, it was windy and crowded, but the sunset was promising to be spectacular. With views of Little Venice, it felt like the whole island had turned out to view it here as well.
Waving, the sun, wind, the sunset. We have people that keep wanting to walk right in front of us and stand for watching. Show up the last second. Look behind you.
While the sun reflecting on Little Venice was pretty, turning around and looking at how the light played on the windmills was far more beautiful.
I don't remember what else, but it's let's.
On our last morning, we had enough time for a quick walk along the waterfront and to grab some breakfast. Our time in Mykonos went by fast, and we both agreed we could have spent another day here. But it was time to move on and head to the airport.
Pretty relaxing.
Cheers.
After arriving and watching the sunset, we had a traditional dinner at Ohamus Tavern. Handwritten menus, homemade pottery, and farm-to-table food made us feel like we were in someone's home.
I mean, this is homemade feta. It's water in there, right?
When we started researching Greek islands, we knew we wanted someplace quiet and unspoiled in addition to the popular well-known islands. Milos and its natural beauty fit that perfectly. And at the top of the list to see was Santorini Beach. So where are we?
They call it the Moonscape Beach.
Shaped by the north winds and waves, the white rock has been carved into amazing shapes that make you feel like you are walking on the moon. It's all geology and time, carved rocks from geology, from wind, from erosion, from the rain, from the ocean. It's stunning. I mean, all you can see, all the little carved out little swirls, which are really cool. It's obvious Santorini is an Instagram favorite, and we had some fun doing our best poses.
As spectacular as it looked in the pictures, it is even more so when you're here.
We spent about an hour just wandering around and taking pictures. We then headed down to the actual beach at Santorini. The azure water against the white rock and the deep blue sky created an amazing contrast. Nearby, there was a natural bridge carved out by the waves. We could hang out here all day, and we've already been here 2 hours. Super crowded.
Been here about 2 hours. You could literally stay all day and take pictures.
On the same white rocks, but it's fun. It's beautiful. This is what we came to see in Milos.
So we're now at Papafragas Caves, which is beautiful and it's really cool. There's a tiny little beach you can go in. But I would not go in the water here because it makes me really sad. There's a ton of garbage in the water. So I wouldn't go in the water here, but it is beautiful. It would be even more beautiful if the water were clean.
There's like garbage floating down in here. The beach looks pretty, but unfortunately kind of disappointing. Oh well, quick photo stop and move on. So, where we were at was not Papafragas, turns out. It was just a little cove with a arch bridge.
Looked like it.
But this is Papafragas Caves, and they actually are caves, so we're gonna go check them out. So, not much at Papafragas Caves. It is beautiful, I guess. It's a little cave cutouts, a little cove, a cave stink of pee, so that's not very nice. But, you know, I think we were spoiled with the first beach and the first natural geographic formations as compared to what we're seeing here. In Polonia, we stopped off for gyros, and as you can see, they're huge. These are really delicious gyros. I think some of the best ones we've had since we've been in Greece. Cute little seaside village. Lots of little cafes and bars right over here. Typical church on the waterfront over there. Right over there, there's a doorway to the bottom of that mountain, right at the water level.
We're in another beach this afternoon that I feel like we're on a movie set. It's so perfect.
Piraeus was an idyllic place to swim and relax. We could have stayed here all afternoon. It had a bar, soft sand for a nap, but we had heard about one other fishing village that was supposed to be even more pretty. We are now heading to Klima, which is another little fishing village right up on the water. A little harried to get here. We took a few wrong turns thanks to Google Maps, taking us up a steep hill in a dirt road. Little Fiat Panda wasn't going to make it, so we took a long way around to get here, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it. Klima is a small fishing village famous for its colorful houses. Each garage door was painted a unique color, so the fisherman would know which house was his. They would store their boat inside as there was no protected marina. This is an incredible little road. Water comes right up to the doors. And these are like, it must be like watertight doors, so that water keeps the ocean out. Today, the fishermen's homes are now mainly shops and Airbnb rentals, going for over $300 a night.
What a cute little store there is here.
While it was easy for ducks, the ground was covered in moss, which made it very slippery and easy to slip on, which is exactly what Ruth did. Fix beer. Fix Ruth's boo-boo.
No, I mean, it does work, although I would say,
Nope.
I just want to keep it running so I don't have to slow down.
Our final stop for the day was Parthenon Beach. Drinks in hand, we watch another epic Greek sunset. Time to leave. Time to go back to our little apartment. Beautiful sunset, Milos.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. I'm pissed, but I feel good.
Your arm?
My arm? I don't know what I did to my arm. I mean, obviously I know I fell, but I don't know what I did to it, but it's certainly swollen.
Well, it doesn't look as bad.
Whatever it is, it's like right in here, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know if when I hit and it hit like my elbow, it jammed something here.
Our little Fiat Panda. Trusty steed to get us where we need to go.
Day 2 in Milos. Got up early and are heading to Sigurado Beach. That is beach number 1 of 2 or 3 for the day.
Sigurado Beach is down there, and we have to take the rope ladder right there.
Alright, bye-bye, have fun.
Yeah, that's not bad. You definitely want good shoes, though. Whoa, that was a big one. Oh, a rope. And you can see there's 2 ladders, the top one at the top, and then this one here. And you have to use the ropes to get down. It's super fun, super unique. After Sagrado Beach, we needed something a little bit more calm and sedate. And here we are at Philipplaka Beach. I think we're going to enjoy it. The views here, simply stunning. So we decided to splurge and get some beach chairs at a beach club.
It was a pretty awesome move. They're pretty inexpensive for beach chairs in Greece, 30 euros for 2 chairs. And it's a beautiful beach.
And we had to get the hot dog special. The special is the fries, not the hot dog. And then Ruth got a Greek salad. Across from the Airbnb was a little beach with views of the main town Athens. We spent the remainder of the afternoon chilling before heading out for sunset. We made our way to the hilltop town of Plaka, climbing to the very top to watch the sunset from its castle. So?
Hot.
Worthwhile?
Yeah. I don't know why I bothered taking a shower.
The hike up was hot and fairly strenuous, but we were rewarded with epic views of the sunset and across the island. We headed down past the Church of the Virgin Mary and into town for dinner. Cheers. I have the moussaka.
I have some pork and fries.
So the moussaka is pretty good. It's like a shepherd's pie in a way. It's a Greek version of shepherd's pie.
Pork fillet has a lemony sauce on top. It's delicious. It's grilled, and it's really flavorful. French fries are actually really good. They're nice and crispy.
It was our final day in Milos, and as we had explored on land, it was now time to explore from the water. While we didn't raise the sails or get to Kalafitikos Beach, which is one of Milos' highlights due to strong winds, we motor sailed to 3 different coves for snorkeling and lounging. The rough and sharp edges of the rocky coastline and the bluest of blue waters made for dramatic views and swimming.
I snorkel, which was served. Multiple different salad, chicken, squid, feta, tomates,
Pasta with octopus.
Oh,
Yum.
Waking up the next day, we had feelings of sadness. Milos' natural beauty surpassed our expectations, and as we boarded our ferry, we looked forward to returning and seeing more of this island.
On the ferry to Santorini.
Formed from a sunken caldera, there are actually 5 islands that make up the Santorini archipelago. The most famous is Thera, where whitewashed towns with blue domes perch on the caldera's edge, making this one of Greece's most scenic and bucket list-worthy islands. The main town of Thera at the center of the caldera is stop 1 for all passengers arriving by cruise ship, as well as for us. We explored lanes full of restaurants, shops, and of course took in the stunning views. As we walked along, each view of the caldera beckoned us to stop and enjoy. Churches poised on the edge with their blue domes, quirky adornments and wall decorations gave this town so much character. We stayed at the Alta Vista Suites, a boutique hotel in Fiera Stefani right next door to Fiera. Carved into the hillside, the rooms were comfortable and each unique, but the hotel's best feature was its pool. Over the next few days, we spent many hours soaking in the pool and soaking in the views. We had heard that the sunsets in Santorini were amazing. We picked a restaurant with views over the caldera, and as we enjoyed our dinner, we were not disappointed. The next morning we awoke to fog, but we had a plan to find the sun.
We're off
This may be the last video you shall ever see.
We drove down out of the fog to Flechada Beach. Located next to a former tomato factory, Flechada is a black sand beach set against dramatic cliffs sculpted by wind, surf, and volcanic eruptions. From the coast, we headed inland to the town of Megalakori, full of cobbled streets, underground caves, and the requisite blue dome churches.
Out of the caves, here I am.
As it sits at a higher elevation, it was still foggy, but it was also delightfully void of tourists. We spent an hour wandering the back streets before heading out in search of lunch.
Cheers.
After lunch, we drove over and explored the quaint town of Akrotiri at the far end of the Caldera, before heading back to the Hotel Infinity Pool. That evening, we dressed up, jumped back on the quad, and headed out to sample Santorini's other industry, wine, at the Venizelos winery. The wines went down well, especially with the epic views of the Caldera stretching all the way to Ia. As the sun set, we were lucky enough to be visiting when Santorini holds its annual Festia festival, recreating the volcanic eruption that formed the island with a special fireworks display.
Hot date on the quad to get ice cream.
Each morning, we enjoyed a cook-to-order champagne breakfast. Dining over the Caldera is one of those truly pinch-us moments, and it reminded us of how lucky we are. And we're waiting. After waiting 30 minutes for a bus that we learned was never going to show up, we flagged down a cab and headed to Ia. Ia is Santorini's most famous town. An Instagrammer's playground today, 70 years ago it sat in ruins from a devastating earthquake in 1956. Developers realized the location's appeal and made it truly picture-perfect. While Disneylandish in its tourist-centric existence, it's not to be missed. Along with everyone else, we dropped down stairways and weaved through little lanes in search of epic views of the blue domes. After a couple hours of taking photos, we'd had enough of the crowds and headed back to our hotel for one last sunset. Right over there, big on weddings.
Santorini, my thoughts is I am really glad we came. Super fun day yesterday on the ATV. Ia was great until it got crowded, and I can't even imagine when there's tons of cruise ships in and it being even more crowded than it was.
And even at sunset now,
Right.
it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah. So Ia is cool when it's not crowded. It was fun to walk around.
We're glad we didn't do the walk.
You know what? I am glad we didn't do the walk, but
The hike
to be
to Ia.
honest, it's something I would like to do it maybe at some point.
Well, I think our Greek trip is a winner.
Yeah.
I think we're going to come back to Greece.
Greece far exceeded my expectations.
Because who can say no to this? And everywhere we've gone, we've had views just like this. It's amazing. We headed out for our last dinner over the Caldera and feasted once more on Greek specialities.
It's bubbling. Holy crap.
I mean, it's to me, it has a different taste.
Yeah.
Everybody always says that it's, black licorice,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really taste black licorice.
No. Early morning.
Early morning wake up call.
Heading to the airport. What time are we heading out?
About 6:40.
Yeah,
We're walking out of here.
it is early
Still dark.
and it's the sun is barely just starting to come up. Our flight to Athens was delayed over 3 hours, and we were lucky we had built in a 4-hour layover before our connecting flight to London. What made it more frustrating was that we had no communication from Ryanair about the status of our plane, so we booked a last-minute flight out on another airline only to have Ryanair flight magically appear. We lost out on $300, and to add insult to injury, Ryanair damaged Ruth's bag.